You are listening to the Million Dollar Coach Business Podcast with Amanda Karlstad, episode number 261. Welcome to the Million Dollar Coach Business Podcast, a show for coaches who are ready to up-level their business and take their impact, leadership, and results to $1 million level and beyond. If you're ready to break through your limitations and start taking powerful action and become the seven-figure version of you that your business needs in order to grow, scale, and thrive, this show is for you. I'm your host, Amanda Karlstad, master coach, high-level business mentor and advisor, master intuitive, and business growth and scaling expert. Let's get down to business. Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to today's show. Today, I want to talk to you all about math versus drama. And this was a term that one of my mentors years ago had talked about that really resonated with me at the time and has really stuck with me throughout the years. And recently, I heard this come up in a conversation that I was having with another leader in our industry, and I felt like it was a really important conversation to have. So I wanted to bring that to you today. And so I think this concept is especially important in the context of entrepreneurship, in the context of growing and scaling your coaching business. And I will say that this is something that when I'm coaching my clients and when I am observing my clients, it's something that I'm always looking at when I'm working with clients to take their businesses to that next level, whether that looks like taking them from that $250K mark to $500K mark, from six figures to multiple six figures, or maybe if we're going from that seven-figure mark to doubling the business to that 2 million and beyond mark. So this concept, no matter what stage of business that you're in, no matter what your current level of revenue is at, no matter what your goal currently is, the truth is that every problem in your business will fall into one of these two categories. The problem will be either the math of the situation, or it's going to fall into the drama or the narrative that you are either choosing to create or choosing to accept about the situation. So let me explain. One of the reasons I believe our clients who come into our programs create really massive growth in a pretty relatively short amount of time, and this a lot of times is after many years after working to implement or even fix certain things in their businesses, or a lot of times being at a point where maybe their business growth has stalled and maybe their revenue has plateaued at a certain level. And what I will say is that in general, what I see for most clients is that they're in a lot of these cases not solving the right problem in the business. And of course, every business is unique. Every business owner is unique. You are unique, and what you're bringing to the world is absolutely unique. But in terms of business, the truth is that it will always come down first to the math of the situation. And what I mean by that is in the context of a coaching business, as an example, do you have an offer that is irresistible to the audience that you're most wanting to serve? And so this is one of the first pieces that we are looking at with every one of our clients when they come to work with us inside of either the mastermind, which is my foundational mastermind to help coaches grow to their first six and multiple six figures, or in my $1 million mastermind, which is my mastermind that's designed to help coaches scale to that high multiple six, seven-figure mark and beyond. No matter what niche you might be in, no matter what revenue level that you're at, the truth is that if you do not have an irresistible offer, which is an offer, it's a program, it is a system, a process that you are delivering to your audience with the result that is irresistible to them, it's going to be very hard to create the level of success you want. And this is just, my friends, the math of it. You must have an irresistible offer that your most ideal clients are, number one, willing and able to pay for. And if that does not exist, no matter what narratives you have about your program, no matter what narratives you might be entertaining about your offer, the math will not add up. So just in this example, and there are many others, but just in this example, I find a lot of times that it's very easy to make these math problems into drama problems. And so sometimes it might not be an obvious math equation. Like my next example, which I'm going to get to in a second, but you can see that no matter how many people you may offer your program to, if ultimately they don't want the result that you're offering, or if you are unable to articulate it in a way that is very clear to them, it doesn't matter, my friends, how many people see your offer or how many times you offer it to them. The math just won't add up. Now, let me give you another example. Another example of this is in the context of your business is number one, are you even making enough offers? And what I mean by this is if you were to look back at the last, for example, 30 days, or perhaps maybe the last 90 days, if you aren't where you want to be from a sales perspective, from a revenue perspective, I want you to really get honest about how many actual offers did you actually make to sell your program to an ideal client. So if, for example, you're selling a group program, so maybe this is a $5,000 program, how many actual conversations, how many direct conversations have you had where you offered somebody who would be a great fit for this program, who also wants the result that you're offering? How many of those conversations have you had? How many times did you actually present your offer to someone that actually would be a good fit? And I want you to really think about this because for so many coaches, they might have an irresistible program. In fact, many of my clients, when they come into our masterminds, already have a level of proof of concept, meaning they already have been actively selling their offer. They have significant data that is showing us that their offer to the audience that they have been speaking to is actually something that that audience is desiring to purchase. The problem is that in most cases, that isn't happening with enough frequency, with enough consistency. And in most cases, it's not happening to enough people because a lot of times it might be where the coach is relying solely on their organic growth and they felt like they've tapped out their audience or something to that effect, which therefore then leads back to the math of the situation. You might be making an assumption that your offer is not irresistible or your offer is off for some reason. But the truth is, the problem might be that you might not just be offering your program enough to the right people with enough frequency and even just the total volume of offers that you've presented. Because at the end of the day, when the math doesn't add up to the goals that you have, it's never going to add up to what you desire. And this is a really common one that I see, especially for coaches who have hit that 6 or even low multiple 6-figure level, is that they might have a great offer. They do have a program that a lot of people actually want to buy, but the problem comes down to the math. All right. So I hope you can see here how important it is to really distinguish this in your business, because if you aren't able to pinpoint this, if you aren't able to really distinguish this, and I see this happen with clients all the time, is that when the math doesn't add up, rather than getting clear on the math, we instead then start to create drama. And it creates certain narratives, and we start to entertain certain stories, for example, about why we're not farther along or why we haven't hit our goals. And in a lot of cases, it's purely because the math doesn't add up. Okay, let's talk about the drama. The drama are the narratives that we entertain that a lot of times are then layered on top of the math not adding up. And the difficult part of this is that before you know it, you end up in a place where you might be spinning, you're finding yourself in a lot of doubt. You may even want to burn down your business. You want to change everything. You might even want to walk away. But my friends, it's so critical that you understand when this is happening. It's so important to identify the story that you have, the narrative, the drama around the math. And the reason for that is so that you can neutralize it, so that you don't end up spiraling out, so that it doesn't create a situation where perhaps maybe you're not even showing up in your business or making the process so much harder than it needs to be. So I highly encourage you to really take the time after listening to this episode to look at your business, look at your results, really assess what is the actual math of the situation. Really make sure that what you're even looking at or what you might be quote unquote addressing is the right thing. Because what will happen is that you might be sitting on your next level, unable to break through because you might have just one belief or one pattern of thought around a certain scenario that the reality is it's actually not truth and it's actually a math problem. But it then becomes a meaning problem. It's an interpretation problem. And so in particular, I see this come up a lot with very high achieving clients who have created a lot of success in their life. And I've experienced this myself and consider myself to also be very high achieving. And I see this come up because I do think to create a certain level of success in life, there is a certain level of responsibility that you've taken. There's a certain level of leadership that you have demonstrated. There's a certain level of grit that is required to do those things. And so when it comes to business, these are all things that can really play out well when it comes to business. And for most of us, when we have the identity of somebody that knows how to create success and is very good at that, and we've been able to demonstrate that time after time in our life, when it comes to business and when it comes to quote unquote failing in business, when it comes to having to shift into that next identity of self, so often we're then met with that older version of ourselves and we're faced with those narratives that we've been holding on to. Or maybe we've formed about what this means for us as we move forward into this next level. And so often it's actually just a narrative that we may have even subconsciously created out of a need for safety, for example. So really understanding, taking the time to know when you are in the drama of a situation or when you are choosing to entertain a narrative of a situation is critically important. And there are other times that it might just be that it is just the drama. And so often in these situations, the math is typically already there. The math works out. And I've had this come up several times with clients where the truth is that they've got a great offer, where they are already speaking to the right audience and their audience is in fact already buying consistently, and their messaging, their assets, all of this likely is already in place, at least to a degree, and it is working. But what they're not able to see is how they might be thinking about the situation that is actually stalling their growth. So for example, so often when clients are really taking their businesses to that next level, so they're stepping into their own personal next level where they're really being called forward to do things that are new, to do things that they haven't done before, where they're learning new skill sets and they don't feel like they're in their comfort zone. And if they don't have the confidence yet that what they're doing will produce the results that they want, they might have a belief, for example, that's completely blocking them from stepping into their next level. And it could be a level of imposter syndrome, or it could be that they don't have a certain level of, for example, training to really step into and be a leader in their field. I see this one come up a lot. So what it really comes down to is just a perception and how they're thinking about themselves or how they're thinking about the situation that has nothing to do, in fact, with the actual math of the situation. So my friends, all of this is so important to understand whether or not it is the math or whether or not it's the drama. And in some cases, it could be both. And it could be that they are layered on top of one another. So whatever that looks like for you, I just know that this is such a powerful way that you can really assess what is true for you and really assess your next steps and what is your best path to solve whatever it is that you're facing. So I want to offer to you to take a minute and look at for yourself, what is the thing that you're perceiving as a problem right now? And ask yourself, is this just math? Or is it time that I take a look at something deeper? Is this more drama that my brain is creating? Because there's ultimately, at the end of the day, some payoff that it's gaining because of that, because it's trying to keep you safe. This is a very powerful process, and it's $1 million skill. So I would encourage you to take some time and look at whatever it is that you're perceiving as a problem in your business and ask yourself, where might I be accepting that this is a narrative that is actually untrue? Or what narrative might I be accepting that's no longer in service to my goals? And where might the math just not be adding up? These are really powerful questions. And the good news is that once you can see the truth in whatever situation it is, you'll be so much more empowered to move forward in a way that serves you and serves your business. All right, my friends, I hope this episode served you. Have a beautiful week. I'll talk to you all again soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of the $1 Million Coach Business Podcast. If you're ready to step into the $1 million version of yourself and scale your business to 6, multi-6, or 7 figures and beyond, go to amandakarlstadcoaching.com.